The benchmark rate was left at 9%. Frankly, this was expected by the market, so nothing new there. As always, the statement that came from the CBK had nothing much different from the last statement. And it's always very frustrating when the analysts are trying to understand what is the Central Bank of Kenya thinking, what is its outlook with regards to the economy and with regards to key macroeconomic variables. Maybe there's slightly more that could be shared, but for today, two key things came out from the central bank meeting. For one, they actually expect more consolidation in the banking sector. National Bank of Kenya has been merged into KCB. They actually think that they could see a continuous merger and acquisition environment in the banking sector, just to have stronger banks that can be able to extend larger units of credit for big projects which have been funded by the government or the private sector. The second thing we did hear from the Central Bank of Kenya governor was the fact that inflation is well anchored. If inflation is well anchored, this is one of the most pertinent parameters that the CBK looks at before it makes any adjustments to its MPC rate. The fact that it's well anchored and the expectation is for the medium term for it to continue to be well anchored tells us that maybe there could be no changes to this particular rate. There was really no mention of what the parliament is thinking, and I think the market will be waiting to see. Will the executive, rather the parliament, change its decision on the rate cap? If any adjustment is made, it certainly has an impact on what the MPC will be thinking, what the MPC will be doing. Up until today, the conversation is always the fact that the benchmark rate is good to know, but it's very hard to actually find out what impact it has on any of the decisions that are made, whether by the bank treasuries or the investment managers who are managing a pension funds. So it's just good to know that this is what they are thinking. This is the one fact that I found very interesting in this report. Private credit growth, rather credit to the private sector, has grown up to 6.8%. It's a very low number, but we are coming from points of negative growth to zero growth, and the last number that we saw was 4.2%. So 6.8% means that it's actually slow but gradually improving, meaning that the banks have actually adjusted to a rate cap environment and they're able to reprice risk or be able to make profitable lending decisions to the private sector. The largest beneficiaries for this credit have largely been the trading sector and a bit of the manufacturing sector. Not too much going out to the real estate sector as well as the personal lending. So trading is getting a much more benefit with regards to access to credit as well as the SMEs. I think the central bank does expect that its partnership with the local banks will be able to see credit getting into the SME sector because of the backing from the large top-tier banks. That aside, the revenue division bill has actually been passed into a law, and we expect to see funding moving into the counties and in a way positive for the banks with regards to the non-performing loans, especially with regards to the construction sector, the real estate sector, as well as procurement supplies that have been made and have not been paid up to date. So some good money going out there, that's a positive. And then lastly, from Central Bank of Kenya, demonetization still remains. The end of this month will be the final date for anybody who wants to actually bring in their old notes into the banking system. Some of the larger corporations like Safaricom have actually put out notices and said 27th is the last date that they will be receiving the old notes. So a bit earlier than when Central Bank has actually said. So some people think that the government is not serious about this, but it looks like the government is very serious and will be rolling out the new notes to be able to curb corruption as well as have a better overview of what money is circulating in the economy. We will keep you updated on what's happening on that. So enough about me ranting about what the central bank is doing, what's not happening on the NSC. Now let's talk about returns. When you're on markets today, we're always chasing for returns. The one-year government of Kenya paper is at 9.7%. 15-year close last week, that was at 12.67%. Now, if you're going to be putting your money for such a long time to the government and you're earning 12.67%, the question is there anything better? Is there anybody who can show you or give you access to anything outside of Kenya that can give you a higher return? This is a question that we will be answering after the break. Mr. Nahashan Mungai, he's an executive director for global markets at Standard Investment Bank. He'll be helping us understand, are there opportunities outside of the country, and have they actually found a way to be able to allow people to tap into these opportunities through their investment bank? We take a short break to look at the daily commodity prices, and as always, we are running live, and that's on our Metro page on Facebook as well as YouTube. Don't go anywhere.